Hey, it's Drybear. Zenless Zone Zero is out, which means we got a brand new gacha RPG from HoYoverse to jump into. It's got a brand new combat system and a bunch of stuff to get into. So today I'm gonna get you started for the game, give you everything that you need to know to get into Zenless Zone Zero. Now, I was about to do like a tier list guide for all of the agents in Zenless Zone Zero and basic team comps that you can use to take your gameplay to the next level and start conquering all the difficult content in this game. But it occurred to me that most people probably at this point, since the game is brand new, it just came out today, may not be aware of how the combat system works and how you might go about constructing a team comp to put them together so that you can take the most advantage of that combat system. So I'm gonna start by going through the combat system because everything will branch off of this, and then we'll get into some of the UI systems and some of the progression systems that people have questions about, because I think understanding the combat, which is the coolest part about ZZZ, will be the most important. Like all action-based gacha RPGs, you have characters that you're choosing from, and you will have a party of 3 of them put together. But the functions and the synergies between them is a little bit different than some of the other gacha RPGs, and there's also some new systems that you need to be aware of. Every agent has a faction that they're attached to, and the faction is only really important for activating their passive skill. So if you see that they have an additional ability, this needs to be activated for them to get the most out of that character, and this activates when you have another character in the squad that shares either the same attribute as them or the same faction as them. So it's pretty easy to activate this if you think about how to put characters together, but you don't really want to be using a character without activating their additional ability, so that kind of changes how you put your team comp together. On top of that, they all have elements and their specialty. The element is their primary mode of damage, the kind of damage they do, and all of the elements have a special status that they'll put on the enemy as well. So electric will build up a shock status on the enemy, and that can be useful for combining together with other electric enemies or having statuses. And then they also have a specialty. Most of the characters are going to end up fitting into the traditional main DPS, synergy, or sub DPS and support role type synergies that we've seen across most gacha RPGs. You want a character that is very good at dealing damage, and then you want a character that is very good at setting up that character for success, and then you want a third character that does buffing, supporting, crowd controlling, things like that, that can really help keep the team together and keep them alive and keep things moving. So based on that, those actual specialties that you'll have here, you'll have a few different ones to look at. Your first specialty that you want to be aware of is going to be the attack specialty, which is the one with the crossed swords here. This will specify that the character is primarily a damage dealer. Most of what they do is going to be focused on dealing damage or just buffing their own damage with little to no synergy with other characters, and that will usually be the primary frontrunner damage dealer for your party. Next will be the stun synergy or the stun specialty. This one is very unique to ZZZ. Basically, there is a daze buildup, which is a stagger mechanic or a poise mechanic in other games. When you build up the daze all the way to full, you will stun the enemy, and when they're downed, if an enemy is stunned, you can trigger chain attacks, which we'll talk about in a second, and you can also get bonus damage on them. Any enemy that is stunned and downed because of the stun effect will have a damage amplifier attached to them. In some cases can be massive, and so you want to maximize the amount of stun that you're doing to enemies by having dazed characters in your party, and the ones that excel at doing this are the specialty characters that have the stun tag, because they have lots and lots of extra days in their kit. Next is the support specialty, and this is exactly what you would expect it to be. These characters excel at buffing other characters or setting them up for success. Many of the support characters that exist in the game just have general buffs. So Kaku has great buffs, Nicole has a damage down on the enemies, Lucy has some really nice buffs as well for teammates, and one of the best supports in the game is going to be Rina, which works great in electric comps as well. All of these support characters have buffs for the whole party, especially on quick assists or chain attacks or ultimates that make your team comp come together. You also have the anomaly specialty tag. This one is a little bit different. I think there's only 2 anomalies in the game right now, and they are very unique. They specialize in either adding statuses or adding debuffs, or have some really unique gameplay associated with them. So you ever see the anomaly tag, they can fit in multiple roles. Like you take Grace, for example. She is an excellent main DPS for an electric comp, but she also works as a synergy character for another electric character as a main DPS because she can work in that that swap role, so Anomaly is kind of like your wild card. You also have a defense specialty tag, which at current is kind of hard to fit into some comps, but can be super useful for some encounters. And what this does is they generally focus on being able to defensively assist, which means that they can parry very, very dangerous attacks. They can give defense or shields to all party members, and they kind of function in that role. They don't usually give you a whole bunch of more damage, but the defense role can actually cause you to survive a lot of attacks you normally wouldn't, or you can use them as very strategic parry system using the assist system in order to keep away from dangerous attacks. And Ben is one of the only defenses in the game that you can use for that. Now, once you're in combat, there's going to be a whole bunch of stuff that shows up on your screen, different things to look at. So let's go through all the elements one by one. First, looking at the top left corner, you have your health bar as well as your energy bar. That's the flashing red and blue color. That is how you use your energy abilities, your E, and you spend them by building that up. And then by doing attacks, dodge attacks, and assists, you can build that meter back up, which will allow you to do your E attacks as well. So you can kind of trigger that to do bonuses on top of it. While you're in combat, you only have one character out at a time, and you can swap that by pressing the space bar on PC, which will bring out the other character. And this is how you're going to trigger all of your synergy effects, your chain attacks, your quick assists, all of those defensive assists or evasive assists. All of that will be triggered by swapping the character when things happen. In the bottom right, you have left click for a basic attack. That's the fist icon. And then you have dodge as well. And this is how you do quick dodges and quick, like perfect dodge. You can do a perfect dodge right when an enemy is about to attack you. You can hit the dodge button, and then you can cause a perfect dodge, and then you can do that, follow it up with an attack as well if you want to do bonuses on that target too. So you'll be able to dodge an attack and go back into a perfect shot, and that allows you to get more bonus energy, more work towards a bonus attack or a chain attack with that as well. And then you have your E button. Now keep in mind that when you have no energy, you'll notice in the bottom right, I still have a gray icon for my E. I can still shoot my E, and this is considered a heavy attack. So you have your left basic attack, and then you have your heavy attack. Your heavy attack still works even when you don't have energy, and it is a great way to trigger chain attacks like this. You can actually trigger it by doing a heavy attack on a target that's stunned. So you can build up that energy and spend it on special skills, but even if you have no energy and you have a target that's stunned, you can very easily just deal damage to the target and then trigger that even if you don't have any energy for your energy attack. Next, above the space swap button, you'll see a Q on PC. This Q is your ultimate. Every character has an ultimate ability, and some have different conditions for triggering them or more bonuses you can apply to them as well. So you can actually trigger certain ultimates, and the way you build up that meter on that Q is going to be, see that the point right under my head, I guess. So see that point meter at the top? That's your, it's almost like a limit break in Final Fantasy. So by doing certain things, evasive attacks, basic attacks, EX special attacks, you'll build up the points, and then once that fills up, you'll be able to use your ultimate ability, and some ultimate abilities have different effects and things that you can do, which are super useful. Next, we have the assist attack. So this is actually super important. This is a big part of how ZZZ works. You'll notice that right next to my space bar, so if you look at the space bar on the bottom right, you'll notice that it has these yellow segments that go around. Those are your assist points. That's how many times you can assist before you can no longer assist until you build up that meter again. And what that is that when you see an attack, so if you look at the enemy, when they have that yellow plus flash, that's an opportunity for an assist attack. So you have that assist there, and you'll notice that when I do it, it uses up one of the hash bars on the space bar on the bottom right. So when that flashes, if I hit space, it'll trigger that attack. And there's different versions of this depending on who you're swapping to. Think of this as like an intro attack for the target that's coming in. So you see how Billy, when I switch to Billy, it's an evasive assist attack. So he will actually dodge and get away from the target. Some enemies have like an offensive assist attack. So when he does it and I trigger it, they will counter a parry or deal damage. And some have like defensive ones like Ben the Bear. When you switch to him, he will block and absorb the attack, which can be useful for his kit as well. But notice that now that I have no hash bars in the bottom right, I have no assist points. When that plus shows up, it's now red. That's because I don't have any assist points, so I cannot trigger an assist attack. This essentially becomes unassistable or unblockable, so I need to start working towards getting those assist points back in order to do those those assist attacks to actually make the combat work. Because right now I have none, I can't get that orange, I can't, so if I swap, I'm still gonna get hit. So this question is, how do you get those assist points, those little hash marks around your space bar? How do you get that so you can keep doing assist attacks? The answer is primarily with chain attacks, but you can also do it with some abilities. Some abilities will trigger it, sometimes ultimates will trigger it as well, but the chain attack is the next thing that's worth talking about, because that is, again, another massive part of ZZZ. If you're not using chain attacks properly, you're arguably not even playing the game. So let's talk chain attacks. When we have a target here that's coming towards us, what we want to do is trigger chain attacks. The number one way to trigger chain attacks is to stun the target. We talked about the daze meter that fills up and stuns the target. You can see it as that yellow bar underneath the target. So as we attack the target, you'll see that yellow bar going up. This functions just like a stagger meter or a poise meter in Souls games. As you build up that meter, the yellow bar will go up and up and up. When it gets full, you'll be able to stagger or stun the target. And again, the synergy characters that you have in your party excel at doing this. They have more daze buildup, and so they're able to cause more daze to get into that stun target. And we know, based on what we talked about earlier, that when you stun the target, not only do you get the assist points that allow you to do the assist swaps on the target, but you also increase the damage that that target takes. So let's fill this meter. Boom, there's the trigger. And now this is a chain attack. So while the target's down like this, you can see the meter going down, damage 150%. We get a 1.5x multiplier by attacking a target that is stunned. And if you hit a target that's stunned with a heavy attack, you will trigger a chain attack. And that's going to be your E. So remember, your E is your special EX attack. When you have meter, it boosts up and gets stronger. If you don't have meter, you can still do it. But if you do an E attack on a target that's currently stunned, you will automatically trigger a chain attack. So let's do that again. Okay, so he's about to stun here. So we're gonna go in and we're gonna stun him. Boom, he's stunned, and then we're gonna press E. And that triggers a chain attack. When the chain attack starts up, you will have the option to change to either one of your other characters by doing left click or right click on PC. And this is one of the main functions of ZZZ. Stun the target with high daze, and then switch to a character, and based on the difficulty of the character, you'll get sequences of these. So when you're fighting bosses, you'll be able to switch with chain attacks up to 3 times, which feels awesome. It's a big part of the combat. So you'll switch, and they'll start chaining attacks together, which is really cool. So you're going through dealing damage to the target. When you get a chance, you might dodge. If you get a chance to swap, you will. And depending on who you're swapping to next in the order, it'll have a different kind of attack, right? Evasive versus defensive versus offensive. Then we switch into these chain attacks because we stun the target. Sequence into that, we get damage bonus because they're stunned, and we have extra elements there. The next thing that's worth talking about in combat is going to be the attributes, which is another big part of it. Now, remember that we talked about elements or attributes, right? Every character has an element or an attribute that's associated with them. Nikomata is physical, Billy is also physical, and Anby is electric. When you attack a target with a specific character, they will build up that attribute on the target. So you can see the target right now has a buildup of shock. Right next to his health bar, you see that blue? That just means that he has shock build up. When you get the meter full up on that, so let's do another EX here. You can see that triggers there. But now you can see that we triggered the shock on the target, which is huge, right? So then once we have him shocking, then we can switch to another character and trigger up another one. So once we have shock, let's go back to Anby, build up that shock again if we can, and it'll say shock once we get it. So we'll attack, do some more shock damage there, shock. Okay, so now he's blue and he's zappy. Now he has a status effect on him. One of the coolest things about the game is that if you can either do full staggers into stun and then combo after that. You can also trigger anomalies, which happens when you can do multiple status effects on one target. So let's try to get 2 on the target here, since we have 2 elements in our party. This target is getting hit by electric and is about to get shocked, so we're gonna do some electric to it. Then if we do physical on it, if we fill out the physical, see the physical bar is about to go up. As it goes up, we fill it, it triggers assault. So now he's glowing blue, or glowing orange. So then we want to go straight from that while he's glowing orange and try to trigger lightning without having to actually swap here. But then once you get that, then you get an anomaly which can cause tons of chain attacks together. So if you're running a multi-element party, you can actually get multiple status effects and trigger both of them at the same time for extra bonuses. So when you're fighting, to recap all of this, you want to be doing basic attacks as much as you can. You can perfect dodge with a follow-up if you want. If you have assist points, you can do your assist counter. When it flashes yellow, we trigger it and we can do a follow-up on that as well. Build up status effects and then swap between your characters to use up their special EX meter on that E button. While it's glowing like blue and red, you have extra meter here and you want to keep your swapping between them. Then when you get the chance, stun the target and trigger a chain attack by hitting them with an E to start that combo process. And when you fill up enough of your meter, that's when you want to use your Q ability on your ultimate on your strongest character. And this being a synergistic gacha RPG, this is where you're going to start creating your overall team comp. Some characters, when they do an ultimate, when they do a chain attack, when they do their E ability, which is their special attack, or an EX special attack to get that bonus lifted up, they might trigger something for the next character. So like being able to give them more energy or give them a buff or give them defense or pass something on to them that is super useful, or maybe it marks them for more shock damage and you switch to a shock character, right? So building that up and how you use your quick assists, defensive assists, your parries, and using those chain attacks when you stun the target is all part of making your team comp work. So that loosely covers the combat system in ZZZ. Let's go over the progression system from a high level so you know what you're working towards. Each one of your agents is going to have a level. You can level them up by using consumable materials, get them to the next level, and then you have to ascend them or level them up to the next tier, and you'll just keep working your way up. As you level them up, they'll get more HP and defense, and their basic stats. Impact is useful for days, and their anomaly buildup for status effects can be useful as well. Then each agent has its own driver, so it has this engine in the middle, so you can choose one of the engines that you have to give to them. There will be a synergistic bonus with the type of character, so the W engine will have like this is an attack engine for an attack type agent, and then it'll have stats on it that scale up with it, and then also has a bonus that you'll get on top of it as well. So certain engines will be better for certain agents depending on what their skill set is and what they're looking for. Then once you have the engine equipped, you'll be able to get these hyper discs or drives that you put into your character to add up to it as well, which is kind of like set bonuses that make it even stronger. But ultimately what you're trying to farm is agents and their W drive appearance, and then get the disc drives to go along with that to level it up. This is probably one of the more simpler systems for a gacha RPG like this. And it has all the usual systems you'd expect. There are special events going on that allow you to log in every day and get bonuses, things to pull from the banner, all those different effects there, and then just make sure you're doing these regularly. You also have a time-based currency, which is going to be your battery charges, and you use this in events to farm things. For example, if you go to the compendium down here on the menu, you go to training and spend your battery charges to get material to promote your agents, to make your engines better, or get basic materials for leveling things up, which can be useful. Errands is going to be your daily activity log. You want to complete this every day and then collect the max engagement at the top. Primer is like your launch activities that just give you a good boost to get started in the game. And there's going to be a battle pass, which is the new Eridu City fun. This one is worth completing, but I'll do a separate video on the valuation there. And signal search is the pulling or drawing or trying to get the random rolls for certain characters. If you've never played a gacha game before, there's usually a main character, like a banner character, which is the prime character of the month or of the 2-week period. They're usually exceptionally strong. Ellen is no exception to that. She's very powerful and works great with the added banner character Sokaku that goes along with her. And you'll get 2 different kinds of currencies for this. You will get these encrypted master tapes, which work on the limited banner, and then you will get the normal master tapes, which work on the beginner banner. If you are brand new and just starting, there's going to be a bonus on the beginner banner, which the screen looks like this. So when you first, I took a screenshot of it. When you first log in, you will have this. You can see down in the bottom right here that there actually is a limit, like it's 20% off for 10 search or 50 searches total. So this will be 8 of the master tapes instead of 10 per 10 roll, and you have a guaranteed S rank pull for the first 50. So you want to basically use up these master tapes. They'll give you enough to finish this off at the very beginning. Once you get to like level 12 or level 13, you want to pull that until you get an S rank character from that. And that's a very simple beginner's guide to Zenless Zone Zero. There's a lot of other mechanics to cover, going over some of the team comps, how to put these characters together for them to shine, all of that, as well as I'll do an evaluation on the battle pass and the overall premium store, so you can figure out what's worth your money as it exists in here. But for a beginner's guide, I think that is probably simple enough, good enough, and let me know if you have other questions down below. If you found value in today's video, video, leave a like down below, leave a comment for the algorithm to help this video get seen by more people. And don't forget to check out my other channels for other content and other stuff and other things.